Now, an important question faced by all diaspora and immigrant communities concerning the question of belonging. For the vast majority of Palestinians in Australia, there is no lived experience in Palestine. So the link to Palestine, the link to their homeland, has therefore been passed on by way of memory and stories and narratives from their parents. This conference in particular is particularly relevant because of the current diminutive role that the Palestinians in the diaspora communities are played in Palestinian national politics. Example to past exclusions of the Palestinians in the diaspora is Oslo and the peace process that occurred subsequent to that. I prepared a 25-minute presentation. Didn't realize that it was going to be a 7-minute presentation, so it might sound a bit disjointed. Sorry about that. I'll just end by saying that Palestinians in Australia and beyond, of course, feel that they have a significant role to play towards the Palestinian national project and in building a democratic Palestinian state that is based on transparency, accountability, and dignity. Serious national efforts, as my colleague Chris will be relaying to you, had indeed been initiated to that effect. And finally, at the expense of borrowing from the essence of the Australian identity, we all need to have a sense of fair go to all. Thank you very much.
ثلاثة أسئلة. في حدا بحب يسأل أي سؤال عن وضع الأخ؟
Yes, this is a question about the riots that were in Australia for I think 2 or 3 years ago on the beaches between the Australian people, and we heard in the news that it was with the Lebanese people. Were the Palestinians involved in those fights, and how is the community, the Palestinian community, integrated with the Australian community?
They call the Cronulla riots. They were on a beach called Cronulla. Palestinians were not involved. Basically, there's a lot of racism against major blocs, including the Lebanese and the Asians, etc. And naturally, there's a conversation within the public arena just to answer the question whether the Australian society is a racist society or not. To answer your question, Palestinians were not involved, and there's been a lot of anti-Lebanese. Lebanese has been the Lebanese community. To Australians over there, there's no such thing as Jordanians and Palestinians and Egyptians and Libyans, etc. It's all Lebanese because the majority of the Arab-speaking community are from Lebanon, and they have a high crime rate, and there's a lot of racism against it. And what happened at that beach was not allowing certain people to swim over there, and emotion flared up, and the rest is history, as they say.
Okay. Unfortunately, Mohammed just stole my question, so I got the answer to that.
Yeah. Okay. Next.
شكرا للسيد رامي من استراليا. Mr. Christopher Galloway أيضا من استراليا.
I suppose because I'm an expatriate New Zealander living in Australia, I kind of represent both countries, but never mind. What I want to mention is that in Australia there has been a series of regional consultations involving different Palestine advocacy groups and Friends of Palestine, Palestinian organisations, to see on what basis might it be possible for them to work together more effectively. Rami mentioned a sense of a deficiency in media and political advocacy, and we've been working to see if it is possible to improve the efforts of the groups so as to make the sum of the whole greater than the parts thereof, if we can. Those consultations have generated an increasing optimism that the different groups can find a sound basis of working together. In particular, we have looked at a technique for achieving consistent messaging. Every group is putting out its own line. It's not surprising that public opinion is confused as to what the message really is about Palestine. So we've been looking at how to generate consistent messaging, and we have a technique that we're looking to potentially apply to achieve that. These efforts are going to find their culmination in a national consultation to be held in the capital city on the 1st of May, and we look forward with hope and expectation to a positive outcome from that and to more effective media and political advocacy in the future. Thank you.
Any organization in Australia?
I personally don't, but I was asked to be involved in these consultations because of my personal background in media and public relations.
Thank you.
So I have no affiliation.
New Zealand is very far away, so I have a question. Is there a Palestinian community in New Zealand?
There is. They're relatively small. And also what presently complicates things from a political point of view is that the Prime Minister of New Zealand is Jewish. So John Key, he's a very popular political figure in New Zealand. So that has, if you like, entrenched New Zealand's political position regarding Israel-Palestine issues. Under the previous...
Close to the mic, yes.
Sorry. Under the previous Prime Minister, different political party, there was a more objective line taken, and in fact some of you may recall that when two Mossad agents were caught trying to obtain New Zealand passports, we put them behind bars for 6 months, even though the Asian head of the Mossad came down to New Zealand to say, please don't do this. So there's been a shift in New Zealand. Thank you.
المشاركة التالية ستكون للسيد زاهر بسيوني من غزة.
هيك يعني حبيت أقسم البرزنتيشن تبعتي إلى قسمين. القسم الأول حبيت أسميه فلسطين قريبة، والقسم الثاني حبيت أسميه غزة بعيدة. فبدي أبلش معاكم بفلسطين قريبة. بدي أحكي قصة وحدة ست اللي هي فلسطينية من فلسطينية لبنان، كانت ساكنة بمخيم برج البراجنة، الكل بيعرفه أكيد. تعرفت على شاب من غزة كان ساكن من قرية اسمها سمسم بالأصل يعني، ولجأ لقطاع غزة وعاش هو وأهله في مخيم جباليا، برضو أكيد الكل بيعرف بمخيم جباليا. المهم الاثنين تقابلوا في لبنان. هناك بس تقابلوا في لبنان، تجوزوا، بلشت الحرب، مات الزلمة، ضلت الست. هلا هي الست خلفت ولد وبنت، لسه لطيف يعني، امشوا معي للاخر حتنبسطوا يعني، اوثقوا فيي في هالمعلومة. خلفت ولد وبنت. هناك الست فقدت جوزها، فقدت امها، فقدت اخواتها بالحرب، وطلعت على سوريا. طلعت على سوريا لانه في هذيك الوقت قررت المنظمة وياسر عرفات طلب من الفلسطينيين اللي مش مثبتين بلبنان اللي معهم وثائق انهم يغادروا لبنان، فبقرر المنظمة الكل غادر لبنان، فهي كانت من ضمنهم يعني، وانه ما ضللهاش شيء في لبنان يعني كلها يتراحل. هلا طلعت على سوريا، ومن سوريا طلعت على اليمن الجنوبي. خلينا نتذكر زمان كان في شيء اسمه يمن جنوبي ويمن شمالي، وهذا الشيء مش كتير بعيد. ومن اليمن الجنوبي انا حاطط هون مخطط لرحلتها. طلعت على سوريا. طبعا لما طلعت على سوريا منظمة التحرير رتبت لها كيف تطلع على سوريا لانه معهاش وثائق. لما طلعت من اليمن لما طلعت من سوريا على اليمن، منظمة التحرير رتبت لها انه تعطيها جنسية يمنية، يعني بالتعاون مع الحكومة في ذاك الوقت.